Welcome to Brooklyn. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about comics. Everybody knows, well, not everybody knows, but if you know me, you know that I absolutely love comics. I really, really love comics. I go to all the conventions that are in New York. I get comics every single week. I read comics all the time. I live for comics. It makes me happy. It's my joy. And in today's episode, I'm going to share with you something very special and unique for me. The very first comic I ever read, ever in my entire life, and I'm going to share it with you. Now, a little bit of a backstory. This is the comic. It's the Eternals. And I didn't know it was this comic up until a few months ago. I remember vaguely the cover with this brain type of thing and then these colors, but I didn't know what the comic was about. And I accidentally stumbled across it a few months ago while searching for a different comic, and I'm like, that is the comic that I received. And I haven't read this since I was 4 years old or 3 years old, somewhere around there. And when I received it, I could not read. I was way too young to read, but I liked looking at the pictures, and I remember I wasn't very excited about it. So this is going to be the first time that I've ever seen it, and you're going to witness it, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of give you a review of it as well. Okay, so here is the actual comic. And I remember this giant brain. I think that's what really got me as a kid. And these really bright pink colors that are here. And this guy that looks like he has a weird camera on his face or whatever. And this guy's grappling. Now, I couldn't read any of the text, and then this character. So this is when called the Eternals, and this is issue number 12. And oh, look at this. This is the first time I'm seeing this for the first time, and I can actually read what it's about. It was written by Jack Kirby. He's extremely, extremely famous writer and illustrator of comics. This is probably why it was $11 to get this. This is probably considered a very much of a classic comic now. Inker and colored by Major Domoed by, I guess that means the editor, I guess. And then it came out in copyright 1977, June 1977. So it probably came out around the May time frame. And I remember this character right here. I remember this weird-looking beast squatting with this tiny, tiny brief on, and then him crashing. I couldn't read anything what's going on. Me reading it right now, I understand what's going on, but I think I gotta say the tale that I had in my head was probably better because it made sense. The ad for bodybuilder. And then there's characters, and I'm like, why is she, what's going on here? I remember I was 4 years old. I didn't know what the heck was going on. I remember this, I don't remember any of these ads. And look, this is getting close to the Spirit of 76, this in-house ad right here. Bodybuilding course. All right, and then over here, I remember this creature or this robot with stuff going on and people pointing to it and everything and zooming on that, and then this character that appealed to me in the front with this weird thing came up, and I remember just building the story and like why I was fascinated by this guy just leaping out of basically a painting or a stone wall, and then having to fight them, and I was just like, I've never seen this in my life. It really made an impression on me as a kid. It burned in my head forever. Oh look, your quick way to easy money, vinyl repair. I remember these characters flying. This is really well illustrated. I mean, I was fortunate that the first comic I picked up was illustrated by a sensational illustrator. And I remember this happening, and then everybody all of a sudden jumps into this vat of some sort. And these people looking nervous. I remember that, and like, this guy's really nervous. Like, what is going on? And they all fly in there, and then she's upset, and they're all gone. I'm like, did they die? I couldn't understand it. I was just making up the story that something happened to them. And then this giant brain that appears. I remember this. And then the brain appears. So it looks like, I haven't read this, but as a kid I figured, oh, they collectively merged all their brains. And the brain travels and then ends with this robot. And I thought, oh, this brain went into this robot's head. And I thought that was like the most scariest thing I've ever seen. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's the end of it. And then I remember this ad on the back, and I read this. Well, I didn't read it. I looked at it so many times, over and over and over. So that's basically it right there. I think it's the first time, and I have to say, reading it, I still don't understand what it's about. This episode was inspired by a podcast called FW Presents Mountain Comics by Rob Kelly. And in that podcast, Rob Kelly used to travel in the Poconos with his parents, and he would always get a set of comics. And for some reason, he remembered these comics because they were very legendary. It was a good time for comics. And he talks about the comics in the podcast. So if it wasn't for that podcast, I would have not done this episode or have been inspired by it. So I encourage you to check it out. Thanks.